Hello, this is Gary of Backus Creative Imaging, and in this video I'm going to show you how to export your video out of Davinci Resolve, but I'm going to show you how I do it. Now, I'm not saying my way is the correct way, but it is definitely a good way and it works for me. What I'm going to be doing is I'm trying to avoid any sort of color banding or other issues that I've seen appear occasionally when using certain types of footage. So for example, when I've used the built-in H.264 exporter out of Resolve, I've sometimes seen a slight increase in contrast in the footage, and even color banding can appear in some extreme situations. So for example, even if you go to the clip attributes and you check your data levels, it doesn't really matter. I've seen this issue, and I've also seen sometimes the issue can appear in Adobe Premiere Pro and Vegas Pro. So it can happen in your software. Pay attention when you're exporting your footage, because it may not sometimes line up quite well with the waveform, the way you've color graded it, the way it looks. You want it ideally to look very similar or very close or nearly identical to what you actually edited and what color you applied, etc. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I've got a video of a ring-tailed lemur that I recorded at the Pueblo Zoo, and this is the original, and this is the final color grade. So you can see I do like my colors on this. So we're going to go to the deliver page. Now, these are your, let's go and look at H.264. I mean, the options are quite extensive in Resolve. It looks very good. Same for H.265. I mean, you've got a lot of options here. So what I do is I just try to bypass Davinci Resolve to the best of my ability. So what I render out as, I use DNxHR, which is the Windows equivalent to Apple ProRes. So I mean, it's not lossless, but it's perceptually, really high quality. It's, for me, it's practically lossless, right? It's a very high quality format. We're rendering DNxHR. The type is going to be 444 chroma subsampling 10-bit color depth. So it's going to, for the most part, maintain the noise pattern. It's going to be a very high quality HDR output. I mean, it's going to look great. So let's go and select a portion of the video to render. We're just going to render this clip right here. I'm not worried about audio here, so we're just going to add to the render queue, and it's dnxhr.mov, and let's hit render all. So this is the video we exported out of Davinci Resolve. It's UHD 4K spatial resolution. It's 5 seconds long and it's over a gigabyte in size. So it's a pretty big file. You can see the bit rate is 1700 megabits per second. So I mean, it's a big file. Let's go ahead and drag this clip into Handbrake. Now, Handbrake is a free tool. I provided a link in the description on where you can download it. Now, this software it's got more options than Davinci Resolve's H.264 and H.265 encoders. I'm not saying that the ones built into Resolve are bad, but this has more options. You can even input command line strings and flags to the encoder that you can't do in Davinci Resolve, as far as I know. We're not going to go over any complex settings. I'm assuming that you just want to get your video onto YouTube. You don't mind a little bit of quality loss. You don't mind the noise pattern changing, because obviously YouTube is going to denoise your video anyway. So what we're going to do is, this is a default installation of Handbrake. We're going to we dragged our video in. We're going to go to preset, production max, and that's about it for that. We're going to go to video, change our video encoder to H.265. It's going to give a file that is roughly half the file size of an H.264 video. So H.265 is high efficiency video coding. I do H.265 10-bit, doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go with the 10-bit. File size will be a little bit bigger, but the color fidelity is just a little bit better. It doesn't really matter that much though. So, constant quality, this is your main slider that you're going to be adjusting. All you need to do, I personally choose 15, but the higher this slider is, the higher the quality, and the smaller the constant quality number. I know it seems a bit counterintuitive, but you can hover your mouse over here and read the tooltip. So basically, I choose around 15. This does reduce some of the noise in the video, but it gives me a good file size that I prefer. However, if you want to preserve more of that noise pattern in your video, like if you're uploading to, say, Vimeo, then maybe you can experiment with like 10 or 12 or some of these higher settings, but definitely find that balance for you. For me, because I'm uploading to YouTube, I find 15 is fine, because again, YouTube is going to denoise your video anyway. That's really it. I'm not too worried about audio here. This video doesn't have any fancy audio, so I'm just using the default AAC advanced audio coding. Nothing special, 320 kilobits per second. Okay, so again, all we did was we set the preset to production max, and then we set our video encoder to H.265, either the regular one, 8-bit one, or the 10-bit, and then constant quality set to 15. Now we're just going to save it to a folder that we prefer. I'm going to go and name mine with the MOV file extension, and I'm just going to change it to H.265, and we're going to do HB for Handbrake. Alright, so let's go ahead, and you can also queue up a bunch of videos in Handbrake, but we're just rendering one, so we're just going to go ahead and click Start Encode. Alright, so you can see that the resulting file is only 31 megabytes, so definitely a lot smaller. Now let's go and see the overall quality of it. So this is the original file that we had in Davinci Resolve. You can see the noise pattern looks quite good, right? Looks quite natural. So now I'm going to show you the conversion. Now, yes, some of the noise pattern is gone. Again, we were using 15 on the constant quality, but you can see the overall fidelity of the image is the same, you know, overall, practically speaking, right? So let me show you. So you can see that's where the video actually is the different, right? So we're going to get rid of the offset there, and now I'm going to turn off this. You can see the waveform is completely untouched. Technically, the noise pattern's a little bit different, but the overall contrast and brightness of this video is consistent. And that's what I'm trying to solve with this method that I use. I do notice sometimes the contrast is a little bit off, and you can definitely apply it if you use Premiere Pro and you notice the same issue, or Vegas Pro, or any of the other software out there. Just render to a really high quality format like DNX HR or Apple ProRes, and then go download Handbrake and drag and drop your video in there, and you should be good to go. For me, this method works, and I hope it helped. So thanks for watching.